Welcome to the Going North podcast, where you will be informed, encouraged, and empowered to embrace your dreams and advance in life through authorship. I'm your host, best-selling author of the book Stay the Course, and certified leadership trainer, Dom Reitman. Be sure to check out the goods and services from every guest, as well as the host himself, yours truly. Now let the fun begin. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, baby, it's another one of those wonderful golden eras of the returning guests. And one of the top 50 from 2020's back in the building, baby. She's back in the building because last year you learned all about her lovely hot air balloon travels for a big, huge milestone birthday. And to make it even better, she's coming back because she has a new fabulous book coming out in April of 2021. That's right, folks. This book is going to be on steroids, folks. It's going to be on super steroids because this fabulous lady right here has been featured on ABC News, CBS News, Market Watch, NBC, Forbes, and now the Cowboy Channel. So yeehaw! So let's give it up for the fabulous, wonderful fellow DB herself, the revenue recovery consultant, the superstar herself, Dee Bowden. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, Dom. Thank you so very much. As I like to say, good afternoon, good morning, good evening to your fabulous listeners around the world. Yes, I am back in the building. Yes, I'm back. And my hot air balloon ride travels have taken me to places far and wide, including the Cowboy Channel. Who knew? The Cowboy Channel is now talking about collect the cash. Okay. Yeehaw.
It's so true, and congratulations. It's like, yes, that's right. The Biz of Immortality has another addition from the delightful Dee herself, where it's going to be all her giving all the good stuff on why we need to make sure the money's in the bank before we even keep going.
Yes, absolutely. As I like to say, the sale is not complete until the money's in the bank, but you definitely have to collect it first. Got to collect it. And collections needs to become a part of your business because of this. Here's the thing. You, as a business owner, you sell products or services. You went into business to do one thing, which is to make money. But in addition to that, you have to sell a product or a service. But there are some times when you have customers, for one reason or another, that they don't like to pay you. And I know it's like one of those, man, why do I have to wrangle you down to get my money? And it's like, I shouldn't have to, but sometimes it happens. And here's what I know for sure is that the sale is definitely not complete until the money's in the bank. You can look at it this way. If you've ever gone shopping, which most of us do, especially now we do it online, we wait for those two magical words that say transaction approved, which is the same thing as the sale is complete and then the money is actually taken from your bank account. So in business terms, that means you've provided a product or a service. You've done the sale and you're looking for the magical words of transaction approved, which means you've provided the service, you've invoiced, you've done your deliverables, you've invoiced, and then you've billed, and then you've said, okay, I need to get paid. And it's that part. You invoice, you got to sell, you got to invoice, you got to deliver your product, and then you got to collect the cash. The reason that this part is so important is because, as most of you know, if you've lived through 2020, we saw a lot of companies unfortunately go out of business because they had lots of sales on the books, but not the bank, which means they had products, services, things that were there. And unfortunately, a lot of people said, oh, I'll collect my money later. And unfortunately, because of COVID-19 and so many other factors, people weren't as diligent with collections. And I think the reason a lot of people just neglect this part of business is because they don't want to ruffle the feathers of their customers. But I don't believe you ruffle your feathers of your customers. I believe you actually are proactive and you're making sure that you're getting paid. And see, here's the thing. Collections is three things. Collections, business to business collections is problem solving, number one. Number two is an extension of customer service. And number three, it's gratitude. You're like, gratitude? Who says thank you? Well, see, here's the thing. We just came out of the holiday season. And if you had a business, if you had a business or you were in business to someone else, they sent you a holiday card. And it went something like this. Hey, Johnny, thank you so much for being a customer of blah, 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 blah. We appreciate your services. And listen, we look forward to you having a great holiday season and doing business with us in 2021. What are they doing? customer service. So you as a part of your business, you need to be doing customer service as well. And like I said, collections is three things. It's problem solving. Whenever you've provided a product or service and it hasn't been paid in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, because that's the lane I live in, you got to figure out what happened. You have to get to the what had happened was and why didn't you get paid. So Don and I are going to talk about the what had happened was. So come on, Don, let's talk about what had happened was.
Yeah, you see, what would happen was the way that the technology was set up, and the coffee spilled in my hand, and yeah.
See, y'all think this is funny, but here's the thing. Everybody has one of those what had happened was stories. So literally before we started recording, I was telling Dom that about my what had happened was story. So listen, this is what had happened. So I work for a company that deals with a government agency. And so I was reconciling an account. And this is literally where the what had happened was story came about. So I have my accounting sheets and I'm looking at how much money was awarded to the contract, how much money was invoiced, and how much money was supposed to be left over so I could collect it. So I reached out to the vendor and I was like, hey, my records show this. What do your records show? And the lady says, well, listen, you're $9,000 short. And I'm like, excuse me? She's like, yeah, you're $9,000 short. I'm like, how is that possible? And she says, oh, well, we reconciled our books and we realized that we needed to return $9,000 back to this government agency. So we returned the money back to the United States Treasury. You did. So what had happened was they had done that, but what they did was when they, if you have an old your checking account and you write your checks and it says in the little corner memo, well, in their memo section they wrote down the wrong contract number. So ooh, yeah, that part. So the money has been sitting and basically in a suspense account since February of last year. And because of that wrong because of that wrong contract number, I had no idea that the money that should have been put back on my contract has been sitting in suspense. And so what had happened was is that this money has been sitting there. And if I had not asked the question, I would have never known what happened to the money. And I would have thought I'm $9,000 over when I actually was $9,000 short because the money had been returned. But so we were talking about what had happened was, and I was saying that in business, everybody has one of those what had happened was adventures, and it doesn't necessarily have to just be business. You can have one of those what had happened was when you take your car to the dealership. You think you're going in for a simple oil change, and they put the car up on the lift, and you're like, ooh, you got ball tires, your brake pads are not working, and something else. You're thinking it's going to be a $50 adventure, and you're like, you come out, you're $400, $500, $600 in. You're like, what had happened was when I went to the car dealership, this happened. Or you have plans for a delivery. Something happens and the guy gets the wrong address, delivers it to the wrong people, and you're like, what had happened to my package? Everybody has one of those what had happened was. And so I jokingly have said the what had happened was in collections is because when you are in business and you don't get paid in a timely manner, you have to solve the problem. So I said basically solving the problem is what had happened was, and here's how we solve it.
That's right, indeed. Definitely gotta collect that cash and get over those stores after laughing your butt off looking back at it, because that's so rough. It's like, woo, all right, we doing good. Oh, something's missing in the bank account here. What's going on here? And then I'm like, oh, like who didn't have their coffee that morning? They wrote in the wrong contract number.
Yeah, and when she told me that, I thought she was kidding. And then I said, because I've been doing this for a while, I said, can you send me the details of that? So she sent me the screenshot, and sure enough, she said, this is where the money was sent to. Says you're in the United States Treasury. And I looked in the memo line. I said, you have the wrong contract number. She was like, are you kidding? I'm like, no, this is what y'all typed in. I said, so there's no way in the world I would know that this money has been returned. So part 2 of that was that I had to reach out to my financial buddy and say, hey, listen, here's what had happened was. And so the what had happened was part 2 was the financial person said, it's going to take us 30 days minimum to research this, to figure out where is it, and then how we're going to get it applied back to your account and your contract. So the what had happened is the new thing about collections, because it's always a journey, especially, if you're dealing with large types of contracts or large companies. There's always a story. There's always something. And that's why we jokingly said that about even with business or even in life, everybody has one of those what had happened was. And so we kind of joke about that and say, and sometimes you can just know when you hear the what had happened was, you're almost like, okay, can I get another cup of coffee, please? Because we about to hit the story for real.
They might even pull out the wine now since they might be home when they hear the
Yes.
news.
Listen, it's a good bottle of red or white or both. You just need one of each and some chicken wings, and we'd be like, okay, we good now. Here we go. Yep. But we're still talking about collect the cash. We're still talking about collect the cash. But listen, I understand that when you're in business, that you're looking at the front end, which is sales. I got to get the sales. I got to get the sales. I got to get the sales. But you have to get the sale. You have to get your contract. You also have to provide a product or a service. Then you have to invoice for it, and then you have to do my lane, which is collect the cash. And I realized that when you don't take care of the back end, you can end up stuck. And so what had happened, what brings all this to the forefront, was that I worked for a small IT company outside of Boston, where I'm from. When I got hired as a part-time collector, they brought me on board and like, welcome aboard. I'm like, hey, excellent. Got to my cubicle and they said, here's your list of accounts, and we need you to collect this money. So they had $8 million worth of sales on the books, not in the bank. Let me say it again. $8 million worth of sales on the books, not in the bank. So I said a short prayer and kind of went like this. Hey, God. Yes, Dee, how are you? You know what? Overall, God, I'm really good. But you know what? I got this $8 million problem. And at the time, I don't know how to do this and I need a clue. So I got quiet. I got my clue. And what came out of it were the three principles that I do my business by, which is collections, business to business collections is problem solving, number one. Number two is an extension of customer service. And number three, my secret sauce happens to be gratitude. So by me starting to solve this $8 million problem, I was able to recover $6 million in 60 days while working part-time. I did the problem solving. I extended customer service. I've researched the problems and resolved them. And I expressed gratitude to the people who took my phone call, who actually wrote the checks and who actually made sure we actually got paid. But unfortunately, the small business that I worked for, which had less than 100 people, went out of business 2 months before Christmas. And so what I learned from that is that you can have all these sales on the books, but if you're not doing the follow-up and making sure that the sale is complete and the money's in the bank, you can overestimate what you have for cash flow, and it's not really true. And unfortunately, this company, they got their money, and then I'm sure out of some other things happened. But all I know is that 100 people who work for a small business 2 months before Christmas were out of a job. And in the face of going through 2020 last year and watching company after company, large and small, close their doors, I had to write this book, Collect the Cash, to talk about the importance of your cash flow and why it's so important. And that, the sale is not complete until the money's in the bank, but you have to collect it first. And if you don't like doing business to business or business to government collections, then you need to have a professional come in and work alongside you so they can teach you how to do this and how to do it well.
That's what I'm talking about. That's right. Her cape is colored with Bitcoin and dollars, baby. That's what I'm talking about, collecting all that cash. And you said something so powerful in that story that a lot of people may not have caught, is the fact that you actually asked God for help and you decided to be quiet and you received a clue to what your next step was for getting that recovery to happen, really. You were able to collect that cash because you actually got into the moment of stillness, asked for God for help, and actually took action after that. So what's probably your advice for those who may be dealing with that part where they maybe is like, all right, so yes, these are some great principles, but you know what? This might even work for life too, since you have the gratitude as part of the secret sauce. So any thoughts for folks who need to have more stillness in their life to continue that wonderful flow of collecting the dollars that should be making them holla?
Absolutely. The dollars will make you holla. I love it. So I would tell you this. If you're a person of faith and faith is relative to you, I do believe that if you take a few minutes to get quiet, to get still, you may not do a faith practice. You might do meditation. You might do yoga. You might go to the gym. I think you just need to have a few minutes of being quiet so you can actually think. I think we live in a world where most people don't take a lot of time to think. We're reacting to things all the time. So as I said earlier, I have three things that collections are. It's problem solving. You can't problem solve unless you actually sit still and actually analyze what had happened. It starts there. And I think that until you sit still and get quiet and can just settle down for a few minutes, you'll be amazed at what will pop up, because you'll sit there and if you've noticed, you most of the time when you have your brilliant ideas, where are you? Someplace quiet, or you're in the shower, or you're taking a walk, or you're at the gym, and you go, oh my gosh, da 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 da. Right. But how did you get that? You got that because you got quiet. Your brain stopped to chatter for a few minutes. And I personally believe that if you take a few minutes to get quiet and get still and you let your brain breathe for a minute, you'll begin to see, okay, this is what happened. And if you notice, even a conversation, you have two ears and one mouth because you need to listen. Part of listening is being quiet, because you can't keep talking if you can't keep talking while the other person's talking, because you're going to miss a clue. The reason I was able to, I personally, like I said, I'm a believer. So I went to God. I asked for wisdom, and I asked for that because I knew, number one, I was a part-time employee. I had no idea how to solve this. And so the word happens to say, if you have not, because you ask not. So I decided to take God up on what he said. And he said, look here, you said you have not because you asked not. Well, I'm asking you. I need a clue. I got quiet. And then I realized I needed to look at this from an analytical perspective. And analyzing is what? Problem solving. That's what it is.
That's right. That's right. Indeed. She's dropping gold, baby. That's right. She's collecting it and dropping it. That's what I'm talking about. In a good way. That's right. In a good way, indeed. That's right. Dropping it in gift form, folks. Gift form. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And it's so powerful right there, like being able to be a faith-based business owner too, and helping other folks in business, whether they're faith believers or not, and just helping them to really just to get out there and actually recover what they think that they may have had, just to collect that wonderful cash indeed. And heck, even here's the wonderful D's secret sauce. And it's great that you're able to actually get this new book out this year. So what else have you been polishing since the last time we chatted on the show? Because I'm sure you've been sharpening your magical sword to slay the dragons of evil and brokenness.
Yes, I have been working. I've been working on a few things. So I've been actually working on speaking, and so I have been speaking. Actually, I've done a ton of podcasts thanks to you. I was a guest on your podcast first, one of the first ones last year, and that actually gave me the momentum to start getting out there and speaking. So I've done a ton of podcasts last year, done several virtual summits, and then I've taken some classes. And then I took a class that said, why don't you teach business owners how to do this? And so it was in a writing classes where the idea to create the Collect the Cash book came about, because my teacher said, well, I'm a business owner and I don't necessarily like having to collect cash. I need to know, like, what are the principles, and can you teach us business owners, what are we supposed to do? And that's where it started. But everything with taking this journey to tell the story about collecting the cash started from being a guest on your podcast and others, and then realizing that I'm in a lane all by myself, because I don't see many people talking about this. I hear people talking about business credit, personal credit, setting goals, all kinds of things, but nobody's having this conversation. So this lane kind of got created, and so the past year has been all about getting out there, sharing the story, and then deciding to create my legacy and write the book. And the book comes out April of 2021. The website, let me go ahead and give you all the website so you all can go ahead and do pre-sales, because pre-sales are already happening right now. So please go to www.collectthecash.biz/book. That's www.collectthecash.biz/book. Pre-sales are already there, and the book will be out in April of 2021, but pre-sales are happening right now. Would love for y'all to come through, and let's take this already to bestseller even before it comes out. Thanks.
There we go. That's right. That's right, folks. Write the vision, make it plain, and speak it out into the world. That's right. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Because both will definitely put it over the edge and definitely want to help you get bestsellers. So that way we can continue to spread the goodness out there of collecting the cash. That's right. CTC, baby.
Every
The
day,
good.
all day. CTC. When we used to say CTC to the break of dawn. Yes. CTC to the break of dawn. Y'all, please go to www.collectthecash.biz/book.
There we go. There we go. So wait. So a popular question I usually like to ask guests for the second round is probably what's also probably been the biggest lesson you've learned so far since publishing your first book. So this is probably your first big project, but you've been a part of a couple other projects, if I'm not mistaken, Soulful Prayers Volume 2
That's correct.
and Entrepreneurial Elevation, right?
Yes.
That's right, indeed. So anything else you may have picked up that you want folks to learn when they're in their writing journey, when they're on the way to take that momentum and keep publishing their wonderful work to help out people?
Oh, absolutely. I think the first thing you need to do is take a class. I mean, that was like, I decided to take a class, and this last year of 2020 was all about taking classes to continue the journey of professional and personal development. So if you're thinking about writing a book, number one, jot down your thoughts. That's number one. But number two, I would definitely look at taking a writing course, because number one, you need to learn the structure to how to tell the story, and then you also got to figure out, okay, who am I going to tell the story to? Because you can write the story, but if who are you writing your story for, that, or who you're writing the story to, is very important. I also think that number one, or number two, I should say, is do it afraid. Something I learned, there's this manifesto I learned, it's called Do It Scared. And I say that because there's a lot of times that people will not step out and do things because they're scared. I can't tell you the number of times that I've been nervous about doing things, but I finally had to make the decision that I was either going to do it scared or not do it. And what's interesting is when I got on the other side of the fear, all these amazing things transpired. Because when I first spoke on the podcast last year, I was nervous as heck. I'm like, I've never done one of these. I'm like, okay, a microphone and this stuff. Oh yeah, okay. But I did it scared. I got on the other side of it, and then I gained some momentum. And then, hey, I'm back for round 2 in 2021. So we're gonna make this an annual thing. And in January, I come back at the beginning of the new year. We talk about what happened in the previous year, and keep a good thing going.
Yeah, that's right. Keep it good with all the O's. That's right. It'll be good.
Yes, it'll be, yeah, that extended good. Yeah, that part.
That's right. Get to torture your buddies with that one now.
Yes, gotta love it. Got to love it. But see, that's the joy of doing this conversation, because we get to laugh and joke, but we're still dropping gems along the way. And that's, I think, that was one of the things I've learned in the last year, was you definitely have to have fun. If COVID didn't teach you anything last year, first of all, life is a gift. It's a gift from God. And I think, people take it for granted. And I think you definitely need, I think and believe that stopping and saying thank you for the gift of life is a huge thing. Secondly, I think it's important that you laugh as often as you can, that you have fun as often as you can. Celebrate your friends, tell your friends thank you for being their friends, being your friends. Don't forget that this gift, you only get one shot at this thing called life. And if you have goals and dreams, like Dom said, you got to write the vision, make it plain, and then get after it. Go get it done.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Get her done, baby. That's right. You too can appear on the Cowboy Channel with 2 cowboy hats.
Get her done, baby. Get it done. As one of my favorite people says, let's get after it. Let's get after it. Let's get it done.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Sweet. Well, coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive for round two. And this one's going to be an interesting one. So, if you're called to give the final keynote address of your life, that's right, final keynote address of your life, and all 8 billion people in the world had to tune into it for the whole 90-minute Dee Bowden show. And they couldn't pull out the smartphones and nothing for distractions unless you told them to do so. What would that main message be around? What would the main points of that message entail?
The main message would be this. Remember, number one, express gratitude. That's the first thing. When you learn to be a grateful person, a thankful person, you will be amazed at how your life changes. Number two, do some self-care. Learn to take care of yourself. And whatever that looks like for you, whether it's taking walks, taking bubble baths, writing in your journal, going on a hot air balloon ride, taking out your motorcycle and riding it, whatever it is that makes you smile brightly, do it on a regular basis. Number three, have fun. Have fun on your journey, and recognize that life is a journey. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you need to celebrate. You definitely, and another thing, celebrate your wins, whether they're big wins or small wins along the way. The reason I tell you to do that is because a lot of life is very routine. You get up, brush your teeth, do your stuff, make your coffee, make your tea. You do the humdrum of life. But when you are able to write your vision, write your goals, achieve them, take a moment and celebrate them, because that gives you momentum to keep going. And then when you hit some of those challenging times, you have something in your chest, your tool chest, to pull out to remind you, oh yeah, I had this problem before. Oh yeah, I know what to do because I got quiet, because I got still, because I got an instruction. I'm like, yes, I got something I can use again to propel me to keep going and to never quit. But above everything else, celebrate, absolutely celebrate, and give thanks. Remain grateful.
Boom! And the mic drop and the fireworks explode, baby. Woo! That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Definitely celebrate. Definitely celebrate. You only get this one opportunity to come through this life this time. You gotta treat it like a gift. Have fun. Definitely show that gratitude. Definitely wise words spoken by the revenue recovery sage herself. That's what I'm talking about. There we go. There might even be a new moniker for you. The revenue recovery sage
I
herself.
like it.
That's right.
Yep. I think it's important because I feel like a lot of people don't take the time to pause and celebrate. And it's just something that I've learned that, you have to take time to they call it this, smell the flowers or celebrate smell your flowers, celebrate. Whatever it is that lights you up, you blowing bubbles, playing a musical instrument, getting a glass of wine, doing some self-care, bubble baths, motorcycle rides, whatever that thing is that makes you happy, go do that and do it often. And you don't have to make a big production about it. Just do it. Feed your soul, replenish yourself, take care of yourself. You've got one life to live. That's it. One. And don't forget to give thanks.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, I give thanks for this fabulous time with you and all the growth that you've been doing and all the growth that awaits you. That's right, folks. Collect that magical book. Go over to collectthecash.biz/book. Pre-order yourself a magical copy. Pre-order 5 of them, 50, 500, heck, 500,000 if you want to. Hey, collect some copies, collect the cash, and share with your business owner in your life. Share with yourself, since a lot of folks are catching the entrepreneurial bug and they want to be the best that they can be. Indeed. Yes, indeed. So, any parting words before we close up shop, D?
I want to say thank you, Dom, for this fabulous opportunity to kick off 2021 as a guest on the Going North podcast. To your listeners, please go to www.collectthecash.biz/book. That's www.collectthecash.biz/book and purchase Collect the Cash.
How's it going, you super special, awesome human? Since you made it to the end of this episode, it looks like you really enjoyed yourself. Since you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share with at least 3 people in your network and tell them what you really liked about this episode. Heck, even shoot myself or the guest an email and let them know what you liked most about this interview so that way they can stay inspired to keep pushing out great work.